Let's talk about how to pass your UBS first round interview. What's up guys, it's Mike from Job Ready English here with another video to help you get hired. Today we're going to be talking about the Swiss banking giant UBS, which is riding on a high after absorbing one of its main competitors, Credit Suisse, and reporting a profit of $29 billion. So UBS really is one of those hot topic banks for 2023. Today we're going to be talking about how to pass their first round interview. We're going to talk about 5 facts that you can use when answering why UBS. We're going to break down the format of the interview that you can expect, which is different for professionals versus graduates. And then we're going to be going through some common questions that we came across in our research from publicly available sources using our data scrapers and how to think about answering those questions. It should really leave you feeling super prepared and confident to approach those interviews, particularly if this is your first interview for a big investment bank. So let's get started. Fact number 1, UBS manages the largest amount of private wealth in the globe, with over half of the world's billionaires being its clients. Fact number 2, UBS is famous for its secrecy, often ranked first or second in the Financial Secrecy Index in terms of its operations in Switzerland and the United States. Fact number 3, UBS has been on the cutting edge of blockchain research since 2016, when it first established its blockchain research lab in London. Fact number 4, UBS has been around for almost 170 years and can trace its roots all the way back to 1862 in Switzerland, even before it was the Union Bank of Switzerland. Fact number 5, have you ever wondered where the 3 keys from UBS's logo come from? The 3 keys stand for the bank's values of confidence, security, and discretion. So what can you expect in your UBS first round interview? Well, it's really going to be a little bit different if you're a graduate and if you're a professional. So if you're a professional watching this and you're thinking, well, what can I expect? It's probably going to be what we tend to call a screener or a HR interview. These tend to be really short interviews. They're about 10 to 15 minutes. The main cut and thrust of this is to walk through your CV with somebody from talent or HR. And you might be wondering, well, why are they doing this? Well, there's actually 2 simple reasons. Number 1, are you there by accident? Sometimes people may be screened or filtered for an automatic process, and they don't want somebody who's working within the bank, who's spending billable hours interviewing somebody to end up wasting their time. So somebody from talent is just going to verify your experience and also just double checking that this is the right job for you, you're going into the right department, or maybe you'd be better off somewhere else. When you're doing a professional HR screener, because generally for professional roles in investment banks, you can expect at least 3 rounds of interviews. And this tends to be the first round. So what you're really expecting is they're going to ask, tell me about yourself, walk me through your CV, why UBS, why this role? And also they're probably going to ask you, why are you leaving where you are? Or why you're not currently employed? This is a really important question that I think a lot of people leave out and tend to become unstuck when they have them in the real interview. I've done a lot of professional interview preparation over the past number of years, and very often I'll say to them, right, so why are you leaving where you are? But particularly if maybe it's a better deal, maybe you had your own business, or you're switching industries, this is a really good question to have prepared. Now, if you're a graduate, what you can expect is a higher view video interview. Those of you who have done other video interviews will be no stranger to higher view, knowing that these are going to be pre-recorded questions on a screen that you're going to be talking to on your laptop, and you're going to have roughly about 2 minutes each time to answer those questions, 1 minute to think. And based upon the memories that we've seen from this year, you should have about 6 questions. So that's what you can expect from the video interview process. And now we're going to go through some common questions that we came across, which repeated themselves over and over again. And this was based upon our information from publicly available sources. And we tend to concentrate on questions that have repeated themselves over and over again. Now, you can never fully predict 100% of the questions, but I have to say over the years, with reasonable confidence, I tend to be able to know what 80% of the questions that are going to be asked, and we want to concentrate on those 80% of questions. Question number 1, why UBS? Now you've already seen that I gave you 5 fast facts. In fact, in our UBS Pass the Interview pack, we give you 90 facts. Those facts are all from Wikipedia, so you could go and find them yourself. I like to find unique facts, ones that are quite difficult for other people to find, because it helps our answers to sound different. Now, really what you want to be thinking about is just, let me pick 5 interesting things about this company and let me put in about 15 or 20 minutes of work doing some research. Now, one of my favorite places to go to for research, particularly for investment banks, is media or investor relations. If you're not familiar with finance or investment banking, it can be quite a confusing thing to look for an annual report or quarterly report. I certainly don't mean to sound like I understand everything that an investment bank does, but what I do know is how to pull out unique and interesting information that's going to give a compelling answer in your interview. Now, generally what banks will do is they will have presentation packets, which are media or press reports. This is a great place to pull out unique facts about the bank and also what the bank deems to be important for the general public, for the investors, and for its other shareholders. So you want to pull out 5 fast facts, and it could simply be in the structuring, well, here are 5 reasons why I'd love to work for UBS. Well, there's many reasons why I'd like to work for UBS. Firstly, secondly, thirdly. What I like to add on top of this that kind of gives it a bit of extra juice, if you like, is try and relate one of these facts back to yourself. Now, don't make a super common mistake that I see with people when they interview for big companies, is that very quickly they kind of say, oh, well, UBS is really famous and it's a big bank and this would be a great place to work and I'd be great to work there because blah, blah, blah. UBS doesn't care. You know, particularly if you're going to be sitting there for a video interview, they're really going to be looking for keywords and phrases. HighView analyzes 25,000 data points, and all those data points are going to be pointing towards UBS, not towards you. So make sure that your answers are all structured around UBS, but it could be something in particular. Maybe it's about, you know, male and female diversity. It could be about an LGBTQ club that they're involved in. It could be something to do with ERSG. It could be something to do with their charitable giving. But I find that's a good way to inject a little bit of personality and something about yourself, which is kind of hooked onto the main idea, which is 5 fast facts about the company. Question number 2, why do you want to do this job? Now, whenever you're answering this question, you always want to think about, how can I tailor my skills and experiences to the job that is required? This is a 2-part answer, and I want you to think about it as doing that instead of just talking about yourself. Now, the most common thing that people will do is that they'll just talk about themselves and why they're really awesome. Again, the bank doesn't really care. Those 25,000 data points from HighView isn't related to you, it's related to the job and what it is that you're going to do. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure you have a really good understanding of the job description and just explain what you do in the job. As a finance analyst, I would. As an investment banking intern, I would. As an operations and reconciliation settlement analyst, I would. And then list out 4 or 5 things that you would normally do. Now, if you can't find those in the job description for UBS, then just take the job description, put it into Google and search a job description from somebody else that gives you a bit more detail. This really helps to establish in the interviewer or in the algorithm's mind that this person really knows what they're doing, because a job description is just a checklist, right? Because they have already laid out, these are the things that I want my ideal candidate to do. Now, you probably can't do all of those things, probably can't do half of those things, because job descriptions are aspirational. They're a wish list of an ideal or a perfect candidate. But if you can list out 5 or 6 of those things, you're going to be a step ahead of the competition. And the second thing that you want to do is pick out 2 or 3 of the most important skills that are required to doing that job really well. Now, that could be attention to detail, numeracy, teamwork, leadership, research and reporting skills, whatever that is. So just say, I also think that I'd be a great fit for the job as I've got 3 of the skills that are really important. I've got excellent numeracy skills because I have a first-class bachelor's degree in pure mathematics. and so on and so forth. Now you see what I've done there is I said, well, I have this skill, and then I've provided proof of that skill. Otherwise it's just my opinion. So pick out 2 or 3 of those skills. Some of you will be sitting there thinking, well, which skill was more important than another? We don't know. But generally I tend to say, if somebody is writing a list, much like they're writing a list when they're sending someone out to do some shopping, the things at the top of the list are the most important. I think one of the exceptions to this rule is if you have any highly preferable or desirable skills. Now, some job descriptions will clearly state these things are really desirable. If you have those things, these are rare and hard to find skills, and you would be really helping us out if you could have those skills. If you have 1, 2 or more of those skills, I would stress that. Question number 3, tell me about yourself or walk me through your interview. Now this is going to be slightly different for a professional versus a graduate. And I'm going to start off by explaining how you would make this slight difference for a professional. And it really all comes at the beginning. Now, just last week, I had a CFO reach out to me from Latin America who wanted me to rewrite her CV as she goes for a new C-level role at a FTSE 100 company. And one of the things that I walked through with her when I've had one-to-one sessions of her previously is what I call a summary statement of all of her experiences. Now, she's a phenomenally talented woman who's got 25 plus years of finance experience across 3 different Fortune 500 or FTSE 100 companies, which is simply amazing, but she didn't explain. So what she would do is kind of talk about all her experience in chronological order, and I just ended up getting a bit bored. And I said to her, wait, why don't you tell me that at the beginning? She said, what do you mean? I said, well, why don't you say, I am a CFO with over 25 years of finance experience, 10 years experience of being a CFO, and 20 years of experience of managing and leading teams at Fortune 500 or FTSE 100 companies. And she said to me, wow, that sounds amazing. I was like, well, that's basically what you did. So the reason why this is important is because you have to think about your audience. Now, your audience, if you're a professional, is going to be a person on the other end of the phone. Probably they're bored. Probably you're not their first interview today, this week, this month. So they kind of already are a little bit only half listening, right? Now, if you can instantly deliver something within the first 10 seconds that says, hey, I'm really the person that you're looking for. I've got the experience that you need. I am the one that you want. And you can do that by saying, that kind of strap line in the first 10 seconds. And this applies whether you're going to be a CFO or a software engineer or a research analyst, whatever it is that you're doing, by really saying, hey, I've got 7 years experience in software engineering, working with Python, Cobalt, and C++ at 3 other investment banks. Now, doesn't that really grab your attention? If you're looking for a software engineer to work on legacy systems in an investment bank, that's really going to grab somebody's attention, and that's what we're looking to do. Now, what about just in general, talking about tell me about yourself? Well, you really want to go through things by thinking about, what am I doing now? What have I done before? And the chronological order of those things that you have done. Now, for graduates, this might be a little bit different because you're probably not going to have as much work experience as a professional. So say, right, I am a current master's student at Oxford Brookes University studying financial management. Previously, I have 3 years work experience in the service industry. I've worked in restaurants, pizza delivery, and I also had an internship at a small financial management firm in my home country. You can then go on to describe these elements of work experience in detail with one important thing to remember. Going back to that job description, you want to make sure that you're covering skills and experiences that are related to the job description. Why is that? Because they don't care about what you've done. They care about how it relates to them. The higher view video interview is looking for keywords, snippets that relate to the job description. So the more that you can relate your experience to the things that you're going to do, even better. And more importantly, particularly as a graduate, because I'll see a lot of graduate students and they'll feel a little bit sheepish or a bit shy, and they'll say, oh, well, I worked in pizza delivery, it's not really relevant. Of course it's relevant. So you've worked under pressure, you've worked as part of a team, you've worked with clients. I could go on and on and on. And these are transferable skills. Really importantly for a video interview, they're not going to flag pizza delivery. They're going to flag the skills that they are looking for, and it's just housed within pizza delivery, right? And then you can talk about your skills, your interests, your hobbies, and anything additional that you might find is interesting. If you want an in-depth video about this, make sure you check out our Tell Me About Yourself video, which has a full 7-part worksheet which you can download for free. Question number 4, what are your long-term goals? Now this is very similar to where do you see yourself in 5 years' time. Businesses want to know whether you're going to stay. Now what your intentions are or your internal agenda is completely different. But very often what a business is trying to say is, will you still be here? So my long-term goals are really to still be at UBS in 5 years' time. I'd like to have developed my skills, perhaps gotten a professional qualification to really have a good understanding of my industry and marketplace and be able to deliver value to clients, perhaps as part of a team or managing a team, and also to explore other areas where I could be of use to UBS. Now you'll notice that I haven't said that maybe I'll be in a different country, maybe I'll be doing a different job, maybe I've started my own business. Now you'll be surprised, a lot of times when I'm prepping people one-to-one and I ask them this question, they turn around and say, well, you know, I'll probably have started my business by then. A company isn't going to hire you if you're already giving them a signal that you're going to leave, because they're going to invest tens of thousands of pounds and man hours into your personal development. And even though of course they're going to get a return on their investment, they're going to be looking for people who at least right now are committed to staying at the business. Question number 5, tell me about a recent piece of business news that interested you. Now, this is a really common question in investment banking in general, in all departments and divisions. Now, of course, if you're working in the middle office or front office, it's going to get a little bit more technically or commercially minded, depending on what you're applying to, but certainly something that you want to be thinking about if you're applying to work in any area of investment bank is that you need to be commercially or business minded. Now, if you don't read any business news, I suggest you start off with something really simple like BBC Business News. You don't need to be reading the Financial Times every day, and you don't need a subscription to The Economist. But you should be subscribed to something that once a week delivers you a digest of business news that is relevant to you within the UK in a way that you can understand and explain. The reason why it's important to do so now is so that you can start building up some context and some layers to your understanding so you're able to answer this question. Now, when talking about a recent piece of business news, I highly recommend you pick something that's simple and that's micro instead of macro. What do I mean by that? Well, maybe in 2 minutes you don't want to explain about inflation rates in the UK, but you might want to explain about a national chain that's gone under and the reasons why you think that that's happened. You want to make sure that you have your facts and your figures straight. It's something that you're generally interested in, and perhaps you have one thought or opinion that you can leave your audience with in your answer, whether that be via video or over the phone. But this is really about being able to concisely summarize and explain a piece of business news. So make it as easy as possible for yourself. Guys, I wish you the very best of luck for your UBS video interview. Make sure you check out this video, which is going to be helpful for you as you prepare for your interview. Drop us a comment down below and let us know how you got on. Bye.